Hi guys, Cash Vault here, and what I would like to discuss about today, or I should say tonight, is my first live discussion about Disneyland, as in Disneyland, California, of course. So, with that being said, we will get started. So, let me break it down for you. We're going to be discussing a bit about Main Street, Adventureland, New Orleans Square, Critter Country, Star Wars Land, Frontierland, Fantasyland, Toontown, Tomorrowland, and some holiday overlays of the park. This is just like a general, it's like a general kind of like walkthrough of the park since it's only my first discussion. So, first we'll talk about Main Street. So, Main Street USA is what they call it in Disneyland, California. At least. That I know for sure. And so, yes, if you guys are coming on live right now, you could comment whatever you want about this. And so, you know what? I think that's better lighting. All right. So, about Main Street USA in Disneyland. It's one of the greatest views that you can ever be at in any theme park in the world. At least in my opinion, that's so. Because what I love about it is not only is it shops, gift shops, but it actually has one or two attractions I know that are in there. One of them is an almost forgotten attraction called Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. It's a little animatronic President Lincoln robot on the stage where a general audience can walk in like a theater and watch like an 8 to probably 10 or 15 minute kind of show of all these famous quotes of President Lincoln all put together like a speech. It's just amazing. And there's also the Dapper Dans that perform on Main Street, as well as Main Street is like the hot spot where you see all of these parades and where people gather to see the fireworks that go above the castle at night. I mean, it's a real blast. And I think that's all I have to say about Main Street for now. Of course, we will come back to that probably sometime later in this live. But now, let's see. I think we covered the general part of Main Street already. Let's talk about Adventureland. Okay, so for Adventureland is like a very unique experience where you're like in a real jungle or forest. It's like taking a safari in a way. Because what's really great about it is, I mean, of course, you all know what a safari is. It's where you can like take adventures or expeditions in like jungles, islands, etc., forests. And what I like about that land is, of course, the main hotspot attraction in Adventureland would probably have to be the Indiana Jones adventure, the Temple of the Forbidden Eye. That has been there since 1995, which was actually 1 year before I was born. So I can say it was a ride during my generation. So that's one of the reasons why I like that. And of course, there's the classic Jungle Cruise, which is very nice on a boat. It's one of the smoothest boat rides, in my opinion, that I think are in Disneyland. Of course, the other smooth boat rides are like Small World. And I'm sure there's the wood canoes. I think the wooden canoe boats, I think, are still going on in the Rivers of America that go from and to New Orleans Square to Tom Sawyer Island, which Tom Sawyer Island was kind of like a playground in a way. And so back to Adventureland. So when I'm taking the Jungle Cruise, it's like an extravagant jungle. It's like a jungle expedition that I am exploring when I'm in the boat. all these animatronic animals that look very realistic. Of course, audio animatronics, the double A's, was Disney's great secret on making it magical from their Imagineers. And what I do love about Adventureland, of course, I have to say my favorite attraction there is probably the Indiana Jones Adventure. I mean, who doesn't love that? It's a dark, enhanced motion vehicle ride on a Jeep where it's like, it's like a Star Tours simulator in a way, but on like a moving vehicle, not like a big ship or anything. And of course, it was a ride during my time. And of course, there's Tarzan's Treehouse, which was a very nice walkthrough, which I think was under maintenance. So that's been kind of closed down for a while. Of course, this is just right before the pandemic closure of the park. And then now we have... I wonder if it's easier if I just hold up the mic like that. It probably is. So anyway... Okay. Yeah, testing. Okay, I think this is working. So now from Adventureland, I think we have covered that. Off to New Orleans Square. I'm kind of like going in a clockwise direction. I started on Main Street, then I went to Adventureland, then now I'm at New Orleans Square, which is past it. What I love about New Orleans Square is it has kind of like a jazz colonial or like 1800 kind of period to it, or at least the turn of the century kind of theme to it. I mean, the old looking nice buildings, or like the housing. I mean, it has like supports, especially, well, for example, the Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, it looks just like I wouldn't say medieval because that's a little too old. It looks definitely 1800 grand manners, the way they used to look back then in a certain part of the country. I don't know what exactly, but what I do know is that Walt took that design idea off of a real mansion, I think somewhere, maybe even in France, or was it probably... Well, it was definitely somewhere in Europe. I know that for sure. So, anyways, yeah, New Orleans Square, we also have another classic attraction, the Pirates of the Caribbean. That actually is another slow boat ride. That's right. It's a dark boat ride. It's very smooth, kind of like Small World. You're taken through all of these animatronic pirates throughout the ride. You hear this nice pirate music, and you hear the audio dialogue of these pirate characters. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. When you're looking at these pirates' movements, and even like the lips move and everything on their faces, at first, when you first see it, your mind is almost tricked. I mean, from a distance, it really looks like they're real people. So I'm like, whew, it gives me chills, but in a cool way. But of course, they're all robots. And anyways, so that's it with Pirates. What I love about New Orleans Square is pretty much my favorite restaurant, which is the Blue Bayou. Of course, it's the restaurant that is in the same area as the beginning of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And you're in an environment where it's dark, like dark time at the bayou. You hear crickets chirping. It's like you're dining outside in paradise in a way. But of course, it's one of the most expensive restaurants there because of how popular it is. And so, and also last thing in New Orleans Square, of course, is the big attraction is Haunted Mansion. And Haunted Mansion is also a dark ride, and it's kind of like a Doom Buggy ride. That's very similar to Ariel's Undersea Adventure in Disney's California Adventure Park, DCA. So they took that idea off of Haunted Mansion to make the aerial ride there. But it's very great. All those grinning ghosts who love to socialize. And I think that's all I have to say for now on New Orleans Square. And now off to going past that, and Critter Country is what I think they used to also call Bear Country, because what used to be around there was Country Bear Jamboree. It was a little show where all these like country bear characters who would play these instruments and start jamming and singing away. I mean, it was a little theater you can go into and watch the animatronic bears show. I actually kind of missed that. I think that left Disneyland, California probably when I was little. But I remember my very first visit at Disneyland was actually at 3 years old I was. So I think I remembered something about bears when I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old. Because we used to go every year. Every once a year, like first week of December, like after the weekend of Thanksgiving, every year for the holidays. So, yeah. And off Critter Country. So that's one of the things I remember on it that are kind of extinct in California. There's no more Country Bear Jamboree in California's Disneyland. And for many years that I loved there was Splash Mountain. I mean, Splash Mountain was a great like water roller coaster log ride that would drop, and no matter what, you get splashed with water. It was a splash zone ride. Like if you wanted to go on there, they would even give you these ponchos to put on and over your clothes if you didn't even want to get wet. But that only helped on most areas of the body. It doesn't, of course, make you dry proof. So, yeah. What I loved though about Splash Mountain, of course, was the very catchy tune. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay, my oh my, what a wonderful day. And I can't believe that Disney has actually had that there for many, many years, ever since their old attraction, I think from Tomorrowland or somewhere on Main Street called America Sings. All of those animatronics that were in there in the America Sings, that attraction died off when it was losing its popularity, like, decades ago. And then they've decided to recycle those animatronics and put them in the Splash Mountain attraction so they wouldn't have so much work to do on creating new characters. That was very smart on their part, I believe. So, yes. So Splash Mountain was one of my favorites. And unfortunately, they took out that theme and there's no more zippity-doo-dah anymore. They were changing that overlay theme to a Princess and the Frog theme. And I'm like, I can totally understand. Disney now and then has to update and make new good changes to keep the audience, thriving and going. But at the same time, Splash Mountain will always be in my heart. That was the one I grew up with as a kid, up to this day. Because they just took it out recently before the closure of the pandemic. So, Splash Mountain, rest in peace. And hello, Princess and the Frog, probably when opening. What I also love in Critter Country is the Winnie the Pooh ride. I mean, it's so lovely. You're riding a very slow kind of moving vehicle, and the vehicle's cute. It's in the shape of a giant honey pot, and you're going through a dark. It's also a dark ride, dark room ride at least. You're going through like the story of like some of the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh and friends that are in there. It tells a wonderful story. It has wonderful music. Winnie the Pooh, you'll always be one of my child favorites. And that completely does it with Critter Country. It's very small. I think Critter Country is actually the smallest land in the park. And now off to about Star Wars Land. Now, Star Wars Land was really fantastic. I mean, when I first went there, it was the first and only time before the pandemic started. It was last year of 2019 in December. And Star Wars Land was like mind-blowing. When I first went in there and saw the huge, like, desert or mountain, like canyon mountain displays in the background, I'm sure that's what they wanted to use instead of backdrops like DCA sometimes does. That was just wild and wicked. I mean, it literally looked like a real mountain or real something out of the Star Wars movies, like the deserts on Tatooine or a mountain behind Mos Eisley Spaceport or something like that. But what I loved in there is seeing a lot of the unique vehicles that were like props made into the movies, or like the actual big vehicles you would see in a Star Wars museum. They've put, I think, some of those in there. And of course, the main attraction there was the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, which is like you really riding on the Millennium Falcon. And this time, you are the driver or the controllers of the ship going through a space mission. Because when I was there in 2019, the newest one that was just about finished, the Rise of the Resistance attraction, that was not complete yet. It was still under, it was still in the making, still in the magic making. So that's probably going to be something new if I ever go next year in 2021 for the holidays, which I'm really hoping this time, because I know this year is definitely a no-go for me. So, yes, in Star Wars Land. So Millennium Falcon was the only one I got to, but we did also go into a show that you are interacted with actual Jedi or actual Resistance characters. You are walking into a show where you can create your own lightsaber in Savvy's lightsaber workshop. Of course, it was so expensive, though, to pay for the show and for one saber and one crystal color for it, $220 alone. Yeah. And if you also wanted to purchase additional color crystals that come in these little packets, you can go into like the shop next to it or any other shop in Star Wars Land, and they have on wall displays all of the color crystals by organization. Like a red wall would have red crystals, blue wall will have blue, etc. Which is very cool. I ended up getting all of them. You can get the clear crystal, which is kind of like ice or white color. You can get the purple color, Master Windu's color. You can get a yellow or like gold kind of color, which is like the color of neutrality. Or you can also get the red color, the Sith color, or the blue color, the Jedi Guardian color, or the green one, which is what I have in my saber here. The green color is kind of like what Master Luke used as his Master's Blade, and green kind of also symbolizes a Jedi who's strong, has a strong connectivity within the Force, which kind of like gives his like rank of power in a way, like Master Yoda's color, green. And the only crystal I don't have that you can also get is the black crystal. I mean, the black I think is pretty cool, but you know, the black crystal doesn't look all that great. It just looks very, very dark red and black, like red with some maybe clear color with it to kind of make it look like black, like the blade would look black, but then reflects off some white color. It's pretty cool, though, in a way, in my opinion. So that's what I did. I got all the colors and I got my saber. I'm very happy with it. That Savvy's Workshop was worth it. And we also went into Oga's Cantina, which is the only actual bar in Disneyland that they first opened, because Disneyland for many years Disneyland has been really trying to ban bars and alcohol from the Disneyland Resort Park. They would only have like beers and selected alcohols in Disney's California Adventure, because that's why the adults would go there at night, because they have alcohol. And the kids would go across to the Disneyland park where some of the more kiddie stuff is. And it looks like I'm getting a comment from Robbie One Kenobi. Oh, I know who he is. Detective Roberts from Homicide. I have some questions about a Bob Wiley. Again, with the Bill Murray reference jokes from his movies like What About Bob? Oh man, you're so funny, Robbie. Thank you for watching anyways. We've got like probably about 15 to 20 minutes left on this live because we still have quite a bit to talk about Disneyland. So let's see what else in Star Wars land. Oh yes, about Oga's Cantina. What's great about Oga's Cantina is that it looks just like going into that bar in the very first original movie, Star Wars A New Hope from 1977. You're going in there in the same bar that old Obi-Wan and Luke went into to meet Han Solo and Chewie to plan on boarding the Millennium Falcon ship, and where Han shot Greedo. Yep, Han shot Greedo. That's no doubt about it. And so it gives that natural great environment. You see the whole bar in the center, but the only problem is there's limited capacity. So you have to make a reservation for a certain time and number of people who are going in there. And they only give you 45 minutes to be in there because of, crowds that still want to be like coming in. So you can't spend all day in there. And if you want to get a sit down booth, you got to make a special reservation on that because there's only like 3 or 4 of them. And if you don't, you're going to have to stand at a stand table or like stand up and have a bar right there where you can just hold your drink. And Robbie One Kenobi says, that was that Bob that kept calling. Unfortunately, Bob committed suicide about 15 minutes ago. And of course, Betty says, oh my God, that's terrible. Once again, guys, it's a What About Bob reference from the What About Bob movie. I walk through the kitchen with a bowl of chicken and pull it in the Faye and Leo. Dr. Marvin's refrigerator. Robbie One Kenobi, you are so funny. But we're not talking about Wiley here today. We're talking about Disneyland, California. Thank you very much, Robbie. I sure hope to see you again soon. Please come by and stop by at the store. Anyways, so that's Oga's Cantina. And I think that's all I have to say about Star Wars Land. And so now on to Frontierland. What I love about Frontierland is that it gives it a great the age and atmosphere of like the turn of the century or like 1885, something like that, the Wild West years and the pioneer age of the American frontier. It's really great. It's like cowboys. It's like South Desert. It has like a canyon mountain, kind of like the mold of the mountain of the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad roller coaster. That mountain on the Big Thunder Mountain was referenced off of a mountain down probably around Arizona or New Mexico, one of those deserts, where actually John Wayne has filmed a lot of his Westerns in, which I think is great. And I love the roller coaster. It's great. You get on a train, you go through a dark cave, and then it's partially outside. It's very thrilling and really makes your heart jump sometimes. And so that's Big Thunder Mountain. There's also a shooting gallery where you can shoot a laser sensor big gun, not a big gun, but a rifle, and you can shoot these little red targets, and then around it, something will operate or happen. It's like the shooting arcades that you can find in the arcade rooms. It's very cool how Disney had let that in there. Of course, it's a great revenue bring in because you keep putting in quarters and quarters and quarters, and they get good money out of that every day. And what I also love about Frontierland is that what I kind of miss, though, about it, Frontierland is not that big anymore. It used to have the old Thunder Ranch way in the back, but they tore that down, and now that's the beginning, and they tore down the old Thunder Ranch to put part of Star Wars Land in, which I can understand. Disneyland needed more room because if they kept expanding, they would go beyond where the highways are, and they can't have that. So Thunder Ranch used to have some pretty good Western music in there, like cowboy music in there, and people used to go in for that actual live barbecue. and it was almost like a petting zoo. Sometimes you see pigs or chickens and horses in there. I mean, it was like a real Western dining experience. And so, yeah, that's what I have to say about Frontierland. And right there is the Mark Twain boat that rolls around the rivers of America, where it kind of gives like a Native American village and rivers experience. So I love that Mark Twain boat. It's that big white boat that goes on the river. They had to shorten the rivers of America as well due to the Star Wars land being there. But at least the rivers of America is not gone. And I'm glad that they kept that in. And so now we're done with Frontierland. So if we head over from Frontierland, we'll head into Fantasyland. What I love about Fantasyland is that it was one of the only lands I was able to go into when I was like when I was 3 years old on my very first visit, because that's where a lot of the kiddie rides are that are slow and calm and had like theme rides of very classic Disney cartoon movies or animation movies that I grew up watching when I was like maybe even like 1 or 2. I already loved Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So they have a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs dark ride. Nice. So I was able to go on that one. And I ended up going on that, my grandma says, like 20 times in a row. I mean, nothing of it bothered me. I wasn't even scared about it. So even about the evil queen who turned into that old hag like a witch, even that didn't scare me. I'm like, I don't know why. I guess I just naturally wasn't scared as a kid. So yeah, about Fantasyland, I love those little kiddie rides still, because it kind of like brings the, even though I'm an adult now, it still kind of brings out the child in me. Like, for example, I go on Snow White. There's also Peter Pan. There's also Pinocchio. There is Alice in Wonderland. The only kiddie ride I don't mind skipping and I don't go on anymore is that like little Dumbo flying ride where you're flying in the air and it's like a flying carousel. I don't mind missing Dumbo. I mean, that was just the one I wasn't interested in. It didn't thrill me enough. So, or the spinning teacups of Alice in Wonderland next to the Alice in Wonderland caterpillar ride. The caterpillar ride is what really leads you in the classic story. It's another dark ride, which is great. It's like Snow White. But the teacups that spin next to it, I was like, whoa, I think that would just make me sick. So I'm like, no, thank you. And, of course, the main attraction I love the most in Fantasyland, it's a small world holiday. Well, I say holiday because that's the only time when I really go. I never really went during the normal time, but it's a small world. That's the attraction I love the most when I love going during the holidays, because they holiday overlay it. And I'll talk more about that in a minute or so. And so that's what I love about Fantasyland. Sometimes you get to meet some of the princesses that might be walking or standing around there, which is nice. It's nice to get a little hug greeting from them now and then. And so off from Fantasyland, heading into Mickey's town of Toontown. Toontown, it's also one of the, I think it's like the second smallest park in the whole in the whole Disneyland park. Just because there's only like one thrill ride in there that's only very, very kiddie. It's a very kiddie, like, smooth, slow going roller coaster. It only lasts for 20 to 30 seconds. So kids would probably be like jammed up in that line for like maybe 1 or 2 hours, and just for a 30-second attraction, I'm like, a little thing like that is probably not worth it. So, yeah. Oh, that was like the Gadgets coaster. Yeah, the Go Gadgets coaster, I think. But what I love about Toontown is meeting Mickey and the gang in there, and it's like a little town of Mickey and friends. So it's amazing. It's amazing. You get to see all these little towns of, like, let's say Donald's house, Minnie's house, Daisy's house, Goofy's house, and probably Mickey's home or mansion or whatever it is, and even Pluto's doghouse. Don't forget Pluto. So Toontown is very cute. It's where all the kiddies go, and it's like a little playground for them in some attractions. They like going stuff. They like can ring bells. They can like go in a bouncy house called Goofy's house. It's like a big bouncy house in there, and you can bounce on all this stuff. You know, bouncy houses. We remember those as a kid. And let's see. So that pretty much does it for Toontown. Now for Tomorrowland, the last land in the park I want to talk about. Tomorrowland has always been one of my favorites due to 3 attractions there. Ever since I was 3 or 4 years old, I was able to ride the Autopia cars way in the back of Tomorrowland where the monorail can go to. There's the Autopia cars where you can actually drive the car yourself onto that track. So you're the one in control of the ride. I mean, and of course that was way before the time I could drive. So I'm like, yay, I'm actually driving. But it's really an Autopia car. It's not a real car, but hey, it's driving. But yeah, limited to being stuck on that center railing on the track so that you don't go driving off. It used to be it was only road, but sometimes people will still crash, they jam, and they drive off the road by accident sometimes. That was way in the olden days of Disneyland. They didn't used to have that center rail track in there to keep the car in. But in my generation, growing up in being born in 96 and, you know, being 3 or 4 years old in 99 or 2000, that rail was there. I never experienced it when there was no rail in the center of the road. But Autopia was still one of my favorites as a kid. But then the 2 that really struck out to me, the Dark Fast Thrill roller coaster, which I think is the only dark roller coaster in the Disneyland park, Space Mountain. That's right. It had this great, unique, like space-ish, like pumped up, like orchestral music. It's very Disney spacey. It was like really fits well with the movements of the ride, and it's like you're in this like spectacular space bumpy ride, as you can probably say. So Space Mountain has been a favorite of mine ever since I first went on that. I'm like, yay, I want to go again. Times 30, which took about like probably 2 or 3 hours. But, you know, that was way when I was little, so the park really wasn't that full yet. Oh, good years. So, yes, I think we can finish this live in about 8 more minutes. We have 8 more minutes on this discussion because I want to get to like only 40 minutes on this live. But yeah, Space Mountain, very great. Star Tours, oh, it just blew my mind because that's a great big vehicle simulator, and it was like almost 3D on the screen. I grew up with the generation when Captain Rex was still the pilot, and it was still the one mission where you blow up the Death Star. I miss that. I wish they would bring back Captain Rex today. But they actually have him now in the queue line, so he's really not gone. It's now 3PO who's the driver with BB-8 and R2 still. Gotta keep that R2 in there. And then I love how in each time you can go to like different planets and each mission is different, which I think is great. It makes you kind of like wanting to go on it more and more and more until you've hit all the planets and seen all the missions. But I think my favorite one was the underwater Gungan city of Jar Jar Binks. Mystical Jar Jar Binks. Oh, yeah, I thought the underwater part was pretty cool. But I'm like, hey, a spaceship wouldn't go in there unless if it was a underwater transport that Jar Jar, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan as a Padawan probably used in Phantom Menace. Will wonders ever cease? I mean, but Lucas made the great impossible. So that's Star Tours. I also liked Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters because it's also a ride where you do it yourself, and it's part a ride and part a game. You shoot all these great Zerg targets and it'll do something, and then you're competing against the person you're sitting next to, and of course the person with more points will win than the other person, and then you can get your photos in the Photoshop and then get your records sent to your email, etc. All that result jazz. And so yeah. So that's Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, another great favorite of mine. The one I also don't really I'm not really crazy about is the one that's like the Dumbo Kitty Air Carousel ride that for like Tomorrowland, and that's the Astro Orbiter rockets. It's the rockets that go spinning way up in the air. That's like the main front face that you see in Tomorrowland before, like right when you enter. It's the face of Tomorrowland. You see the rockets in the air. It's all great though. I mean, it's great to see as a picture and film and great lit at night, but it's just something am not really crazy about. So, and that's Tomorrowland. And now, last topic about holiday overlays. Now, holiday overlays is just the most beautiful, magical time to really go to Disneyland. That's why in the holidays, in especially around in December, all through that month, it's super packed. It's like don't even bother going. It's like if you want to make it for the holidays, you got to make it like first thing when they first open it in the beginning and middle of November, like before Thanksgiving. Or if not, if you have to go in December, you got to do the first week, which is the weekend after Thanksgiving. That's the best time, in my opinion. I mean, that's the time when I always go. But unfortunately, not this year due to COVID-19. So when they holiday overlay this stuff, I love how I can just walk into the park, and when I'm there on Main Street, I first see the giant Christmas tree. And when it's lit at night, oh my God, and hearing the holiday music up and down Main Street, the Christmas bells and the music bells with holiday Christmas carols played in it. I'm like, it's Disney Christmas charming magical land. It's like the best thing I ever have walked through. And when I'm there, especially seeing all the beautiful stuff lit at night on the holidays and looking at either the tree or facing the castle, and the castle's wonderfully lit. It's like it's icicled. I'm like, this has got to be a dream. Or it's like, I don't ever want to leave. And sometimes it breaks me a tear a little bit because I'm so happy. Oh man, it makes me miss it already. Especially for the fact knowing that I'm not going this year. It's going to be kind of a bummer. But anyways, yes, and I love some of the attractions that they holiday theme overlay. Like there's the Haunted Mansion Holiday. They overlay that to Nightmare Before Christmas theme. And they have the wonderful bells of the Phantom Manor. They have the Phantom Manor themed music box that they play in the line queue outside, which is going to be, by the way, my next video I am uploading on my channel. I made a 15 or 16 minute extended music loop of the Phantom Manor music box. That's the official recording that you actually hear when you're out there in the mansion. And not the original soundtrack one. There is actually a difference. The official one you hear when you're like really there, it's up a pitch key a bit, and it's a little slower tempoed. The original soundtrack's tempo is a bit, faster, and it's down a key, which is pretty fine. It's still pretty passes in my opinion, but it's still not the same. So you will be seeing that on my channel pretty soon. So I made the official and extended, so hope you guys won't be disappointed for that. And especially at night, yes. They have all these candles and twinkling lights all on the mansion at night when it's dark. And hearing that music, oh, it's like hearing and seeing twinkles. It's like stars, man. It's beautiful, beautiful. And same thing for the other holiday overlay they do is It's a Small World holiday. I love how they actually blend in Christmas carols songs to sing with the actual Small World theme song. So it's not just Small World all over again, getting annoying in your head. You're hearing something else too. So it's, it keeps the mind going great. And they're actually songs that you will love to hear at Christmas time. So I love how they do that for It's a Small World holiday. And of course, the lights outside at night are very beautiful. And that is pretty much all I have to say about the holidays. And I just love it in the holidays at Disneyland. So that will be it for my first live, guys. So I'm going to wrap this up because we are about at 40 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoy this very first live discussion topic of mine, which I chose to be a general overview of Disneyland, California. Of course, it's my most favorite place to be on Earth and a great escape from reality. Obviously, I'm not as accurate and professional at this topic as David from Fresh Baked Disney is, but I hope someday to reach to his level. And as for my channel, I'm planning to do more discussion live videos in the future, especially about Disneyland, California. So stick around on my channel and wait for new music uploads, news, and click the notification bell to be updated on future video premieres of live videos to be scheduled on a certain date and time, so don't miss them. And please, please, please stay safe during this COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm hoping that Disneyland California will open for the holidays this year or open again soon. Keep fingers crossed and stay positive about it. So, bye everyone. I will see you all next time.